What is going on, everybody? Week 11, Monday Night Football. Let's get to it. Cowboys Raiders, pretty ugly one. There's I should have some decent thoughts on this one. I don't have any bets on a side or a total here, but I definitely am intrigued by this game. Absolutely. Um, let's dive right in. So let me get a quick second to get some promo out for the boys, and then we will lock and load. 1 second here. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Let's do it. Using Outlier as always on Mondays. And let's lock in some best bets. We have two boosts. We have a FanDuel boost and a DraftKings boost. We'll make sure we lock both of those in. Find our best angles for those two games. And 1 second to get the promo out again. Boom. All right, let's do it, boys. So Cowboys laying 3.5. Not a lot of movement here. This has been 3.5 like all week. Maybe this is like last week I saw that 3 pop up. Let's look at the Dallas side here. Yeah, scrolling back, this is yesterday. Going back to the 13th, 12th, 11th, and this has really just been 3.5. Sitting a pretty standard market here. Not a lot of back and forth. I guess there were some threes at open back on the 10th, so fully a week ago there were some threes, but not really a ton of movement throughout the course of the week here on the spread. I've definitely seen a bit of movement on the total, if I'm not mistaken. I think this was higher on Wednesday. Yeah, this was as high as I saw 50s, I remember. But yeah, some 49.5s now, some 50.5s earlier in the week. Yeah, so when Jake and I were doing the best bet show, this one was pretty high. And now it's just getting bet down to a 48.5 line and minus 110, some plus 104s actually. So maybe there's a 48. Like the over here at Hard Rock, Bet Rivers, Fanatics, MGM. So you can get a cheap 48 if you like the over. If you want the under, also get a 49 here at Hard Rock 365. Profit X as well. These over 120s are definitely not worth playing, but interesting stuff here. I haven't taken a bet on a side or a total. I'm not going to be doing that at this point in time. Of course, we're this close to game time here, but very interesting to just see the market, how this one has been pumped to the under. But looking at Dallas, I mean, they were built as like a stereotypical over team based on their their horrible defense and their good offense. Went under week 1, over week 2, under, rattled off 3, 4, 5 straight overs before last week's Monday night game was a pretty slow, boring one that went under the total by a good margin there in that loss to Arizona. Dallas is off the bye now, and then this is where the narrative street's going to come in. We all know that the Cowboys had a defensive player take his own life. Obviously, beyond unfortunate. This is the Cowboys' first game since that happened, as Dallas was on a bye last week. I don't know if you guys saw a bunch of the quotes coming out of like Dallas's locker room from like defensive players and just other people on the team, and it's honestly it's terrible for the obvious reasons, but this has given me a bit of kind of making me take a step back and think here about kind of some angles for Dallas here. Now, this team is going to undoubtedly try to put on, especially their defense. So let's see what we can find quickly for maybe like a defensive prop for Dallas here. Now, this is full narrative street. I don't know why Geno Smith, if I want a defensive prop here, let me filter by just this game. Don't look at some early Texans Bill stuff for Thursday, but I think that there's definitely some merit potentially in taking a look at defensive and special team props. Now, it's going to be fully narrative street, and like none of the sports books, this is probably even like priced in to a degree. Let me make sure we get the markets we want to see for just general props, but that could be like an angle that, while again, I'm not going to sit here and say that like I expect Dallas to turn anybody over or make a play like that. This is one of those where it's like, something might be in the air, and stars are kind of aligning. So I'm not going to sit here and say there's an edge or anything of that nature here, but this could be a potential, worth to make plus money bet here. Let's get some more markets in here. I feel like I'm missing some. 9 seems low, but I don't think I am. Passing yards, receiving yards, receptions, rushing yards. Get some attempts in there as well. But from a prop perspective, we'll take a look into that in a second, but this is the only prop I bet so far. I bet Genty 2+ touchdowns, and I'll tell you why in just a second here. As one touchdown is minus 130. I went over 1.5 here. There's 480 on Kalshi, the being the best price, 460 on FanDuel. I actually got it at 410, but this number has been moving a lot. Let's see if they have the odds moving here for just FanDuel, because I saw this go to 430. I saw this go to 480. I got in at 450, so not the best entry point here, but as you can see, this had moved a bit now, but that to 450 up to 460. But this is the reason why I went with Genty. Now I know the market is saying this is kind of like an understyle game, and Dallas's touchdowns allowed have been really getting killed by the receiver position, not really the running back position. And Genty, of course, having just one big touchdown game. The rest have been, sometimes scoring a touchdown, otherwise none. But this is going back to when we had a few weeks ago the Genty first touchdown against the Broncos in that game. Looking at the red zone and just general rush attempts, Ashton Genty, 143 rush attempts. That's 66.8% of the rushing share. When you get into the red zone, 20 red zone rush attempts on the season, 76.9% rushing attempts. Unless the Cowboys are absolutely, shutting out the Raiders, which I don't think is very likely. Looking at what some other running backs did against Dallas, we had nothing coming from the RBs in that Dallas-Arizona game. But RJ Harvey hit a 3-piece on him, 2 in the air. C-Rod, even when the Commanders couldn't move it, he scored. Dowdle got in against them, and this is the last that got their data. Of course, in that Jets game, that was an ugly one. But this was one to me where if I'm going with Genty, I'm not laying a 35 for it anytime. I'm going straight for the plus chicken for 2, because if they get the ball in the red zone and they run the football, he is the one who's touching the football. It's plain and simple. So I don't think I need to do much convincing at that point. Like it's going to be a low a low run rate overall, only 42% of plays on the ground for the Raiders this season. But considering how, again, the Raiders do their run splits here, this is just like abysmal. Only 17 attempts for Mostert, 10 for White, a couple of mixed in wide receiver runs with Trey Tucker. But Genty is going to dominate the run share. I think at this point, just getting this plus money at even 150 at this point at FanDuel, plus 460. And I'll pull it up here because I do want to build out the parlay on FD and DK. So let's get both those books in open tabs here. But going back to FD here quickly, up to 490 now, actually. So these odds are actually not even updated here. Like I said, I bet it at 450, so I got a bad number all in the game, unfortunately. But I think that has something to do with just the total. As you see now, even juice to the under at 48.5. Where is it? TD score props. Ashton Genty. This is only anytime to score 2+ touchdowns, up to 490. Honestly, I think this is going to be something that I'm going to utilize within the SGP that we build. We have again, this boost on FanDuel. And again, from a overall perspective, if the Raiders are going to get the ball in the red zone, they're going to give it to Ashton Genty. So we're going to use that as a leg in this parlay on FanDuel. I'm going to see exactly what the promo is, or the terms and conditions of this profit boost are. Just a 3-leg SGP, max bet $10, which is fine. But first bet leg I'm adding in there. And let's go to DraftKings quickly and just confirm. See, I had this in a slip. This would have been fun with Ty Johnson. Genty's only 4-1. FD is definitely sharper in these markets, so not really too shocked to see them be a bit off market and beat to their own drum a bit. It's even better than Kalshi is now. But I like Ashton Genty to score 2 touchdowns. I'm going to add that to the SGP. We're going to find 2 more legs. I'm cool with, of course, going for some crazy plus money here on one of these parlays. Where is it? 2+ on the app is in the right spot. 490. I think it's just a bit too high. I really do. Let's go back to the EV screen now. And let's see what's showing up from an EV perspective in this one. See if there's any legs that we can find at FanDuel or DK right then and there. DK, I think, is a 4-leg boost, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. I'm logged in on my phone. DK has to be a 4-leg parlay. Well, FT could be a 3-legger. But back passing touchdowns under 1.5 is plus 175 here at MGM. This is actually a quick digression, but DVig to FanDuel, Bookmaker, and Penny. This is sticking out pretty solidly. Quarter Kelly, worst case, is a 0.78% of the bankroll. But this is definitely honestly a bet worth making. Let's check the pricing. Obviously a long shot in the sense that it's plus 175. It's not the expected result. Back to throw 2 touchdowns. I mean, if you want to look at like hit rate charts quickly here, has had a few games where he has been, held under, including last week, 2 weeks ago in Denver, got Chicago early against Philly to start the year. But that was a game where, if you remember, Dak balled out, just some drops and a close one. Then we have, of course, a couple of 3 years of 4 passing touchdown game against the Jets where Dak absolutely was going nuclear here. But if you're interested in some plus money at a long shot, this is definitely worth it. It has positive expected value, which is, half the battle. So MGM showing a good bet there. Let's see what else we find here on DK and FD to add to our slips here. And right now, Turpin is a good one. It's minus 108 at Penny, to plus 108 at FanDuel. So this is definitely pretty, off here. Had -2 against Denver, 10 against Arizona after coming off a pretty big stretch overall. But this is when CD Lamb was was out with an injury. So definitely a bit deceptive from like a hit rate perspective on Turpin, as I'm sure this is an alt line as well. Yeah, the baseline is 12.5. You're FanDuel with the best price in market for this as well. 113 profit, 116 no vig. But Turpin is definitely on the radar, though. Again, definitely since Lamb has come back, this target share, CD creeping up, Pickens dominating because of that time that CD missed, Ferguson getting a high target share, and Turpin still deeper down the depth chart. So honestly, not in love with that from like a matchup perspective. Would be one where we would expect to see that happen probably in one reception, considering what Turpin's skill set is. But not a ton of EV on the board. And we saw that actually pretty big on Sunday on stream, even using PTO. There just weren't a ton of EV spots all over. We got Lockett under receptions at Hard Rock. Geno Smith under pass attempts here at MGM and Fanatics. Let's take a look at this. So we're going for the under here. The under at FanDuel, Penny, and Bookmaker. Quarter Kelly, best case scenario is 0.64% EV, 0.18%, excuse me, with the bankroll there for this. So this is very small expected value. If you're trying to chase them all, then this is definitely worth it. But I'm probably going to pass. So let's go find some things manually that we like. And I'm with the Genti 2 touchdowns, but where I want to go from a passing game perspective is I'm interested in Trey Tucker. We know now that, of course, Jacoby Myers is off the team. Bowers is back and healthy. Trey Tucker is kind of elevating to that wide receiver 1 role. Looking at, again, the matchup, this is like a match made in heaven for receivers, though it hasn't been that great as of late for Dallas. Receiving yards, 50 plus is looking like a line there. Let's keep seeing what else we have. MGM at 43.5. Where's the rest of the market? 44.5, Novik, 45.5. Let's see, where's FanDuel? FanDuel, it's at 44.5. This 43.5 at MGM, 115 is actually a pretty good bet. Looking where the market was, let's pull this up, because this actually might be the first straight bet I take so far today, besides the Genti 2 touchdown, which I got a crappy price on, but all in the game. And this Dak 175 is good, but this Tucker 43.5. I'm gonna log it to MGM here. I think that's going to definitely be worth adding to the card based on the rest of the market. And honestly, considering his capability, so shut down in a game against Denver where we actually had the under, if you guys were on stream last Thursday. Jacksonville also held in check. Kansas City also held in check. Kind of boomer bust had that massive game against Washington, but this is kind of the best matchup from a since then for a receiver like Tucker. And again, these yards allowed for Dallas have just been massive this year. Vegas going to be throwing the ball a ton as well, expected, and hopefully we get Genti to cap off those runs with some touchdowns in the end zone here. But I'm not betting this Trey Tucker. I'm adding this to my card right now. 43.5 receiving yards. Locked and loaded. Trey Tucker over 43.5 receiving yards. Let's go. Processing. Okay. Trey Tucker, 43.5 receiving yards. Definitely going to lock that in. Minus 115. Boom. All right, so I'm actually interested in like doubling up on him in a in this parlay on FanDuel or even on DraftKings. Let's see what the DraftKings pricing was. Let's see, 44 and a half here. FanDuel at minus 112. And DK didn't have odds. Are they at 45 and a half? Yeah, they're 45 and a half. So in this booster, but let's see what 50 plus is, because if the prices are better at FanDuel, then this could be worth alting. It's plus 114 at FanDuel. So I'm going to do Genti 2 plus touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm going to add in what's his name? Player receiving yards 50 plus for Trey Tucker. That's plus 114 showing. Yep. So just that's plus 883 for a two-legger. And we got to get one more leg for this boost. So let's see what we can find. I'm actually curious now. Let's go to FanDuel here and let's see what is a Dallas defensive touchdown. I'd say I will parlay this with that. Maybe I will, honestly, because we're going for some big time plus chicken if we can. But I am curious what they're pricing it at. 850 on FanDuel is not great. Let's see what it is at DraftKings. TD score. Dallas defense 5-1. Okay, so definitely not a good bet from a quote unquote value perspective by any means there. But let's see. Let's go back to Trey Tucker for 1 second here, because I'm actually maybe more intrigued with the alternate numbers, even though 50 plus is what we're going with. But I think we could go even higher, honestly. Let's see receiving yards. So he's only gotten 50 plus, 4 times, but the times he's gotten 50 plus, he's actually blown past the number. I'm actually going to take out that 50 and put in a 60. But let's see the market here. Let's just confirm the prices make sense. 59 and a half plus 176 at FanDuel. That is the best price of all the alts. Yeah, I'm going to add a Trey Tucker 60 plus instead of the 50 plus. That's at 1151. And we could again go with the Nealand, love and support from the team. If we add in Dallas defense to that, that brings this parlay with the boost plus 17,296. And honestly, considering the narrative street, I just locked that in. So I'm going with a full nuke with the FanDuel boost. That is again plus 17,296. That's how I'm going with it. I just locked in $10 with my max bet, so I locked it in. I'm going for the kind of crazy lay on FanDuel here, because I'm seeing, again, using the kind of narrative street for the Dallas defense. The Genti 2 plus, I think, is honestly a good bet, again, worth playing straight at the 490, absolutely. And we played the Trey Tucker at 43 and a half. But yeah, I just locked that in. 10 to win 1,700. I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for it. So there we go. So let's find some stuff for the DraftKings boost. Also want to take a look at some first touchdowns as always. So let's see what we can get from a pricing perspective here. Always like to bet, first touchdown, one on each side, and see if there's anything that, sticks out from a pricing perspective here. First TD score. So Javonte is obviously going to be chalked to oblivion. Pickens 9-1 doesn't seem so bad, honestly. I would have liked 10-1, but definitely seeing some love for Dallas in the market. Lamb 7-1, which makes sense. Ferguson 10-1. Turbin 28-1. Flournoy 30-1. Genti chalk. Bowers 8-1. Now, let's take a look here at some of the other prices at some books that I have, because I don't have I don't have Hard Rock available to me. But 750 at DK. What's even there? I'm showing me FanDuel. FanDuel 650. I mean, listen, he's probably going to score the first because it's Brock freaking Bowers. But from a pricing perspective, I cannot pull trigger on that. Deontay Thornton deeper down the board. Let's actually maybe let's take a look at this, because what has the snap situation been now that Jacoby Myers is out? So Thornton is definitely the WR3 over Jack Beck. We know Jack Beck, the pretty high draft pick, I think it was a second round pick, is not getting really any burn whatsoever. His snap counts are just so low. Dallas, let's see what the wide receivers are doing. So has been the WR1s getting to them. As you see, Tech got two, GW got one, Bryant Franklin, Marvin Harrison. So I'm actually pretty happy with the Trey Tucker because now he is WR1 besides like Brock Bowers, who of course is like weapon number one. Um, so that's understandable. What is Trey Tucker's first? Because I actually might be all in on Trey Tucker today, just because again the matchup perspective and 15 to 1. DK as well. Novik 1480. So we're getting better line than Novik here. And where's Profit? Profit 13 to 1 as well. Let's see and confirm this here. Where is he? 15 to 1 for Trey Tucker first touchdown. Now I know that they're underdogs. Again, anticipate lower scoring environment. If they get to the red zone, definitely expect some well, I mean, Lockett's been getting some love as well. Let me actually pull up FTN quickly so I can pull up some more advanced numbers here for what the splits have been like since they traded Myers. So I'm going to go back just 2 weeks here and see for Dallas, excuse me, for Las Vegas, kind of what the snap share has looked like. I know the passing game has been absolutely ugly. Geno Smith has been abysmal, and him throwing touchdowns is few and far between this year. I mean, if you don't believe me, which I know everybody here watches football, I'm sure does, but if you haven't been paying like close attention, looking at how bad it's been from Geno from a passing touchdown perspective, to do a quick look here, had a 4 touchdown game against Jacksonville, a 0 piece, a 0 piece, a 1 piece, a 0 piece, a 0 piece, a 1 piece. So he's been having again pretty good games or abysmal games, and his line is even money both ways for him to score a to throw 2 touchdowns. But let's go back to FTN quickly. Let's do weeks 10. And this is okay, so this is no Myers. Was Myers also week 9? On the team in week 9? He was, but looks like a limited. Okay, that's one game. So let's get that week 9 out of there. Let's only look at week 10 for right this second here, just to see the usage overall. So snap percentage, Tucker leading the way, only 3 targets, but leading the way in snaps. Genty, obviously, back there, Brock Bowers as well. And it's been Thornton, Lockett coming on, and Jack Beck not getting any love whatsoever. Let's switch over to usage and look at the route percentage. So Trey Tucker running 100% of the routes, only in that game had 3 targets. And who was that game against? That was against Denver, which makes sense. A very good defense, and we had actually Tucker's under receptions, which was free as air. Genty actually led the game in targets. Actually, no, it was Lockett, but Lockett ran 78% of the routes. Lockett's definitely like in the mix, and he looks like he's a bit revitalized to a degree. Okay, so this is interesting. This is again the one game without Jacoby Myers, so definitely some other things to consider overall, as we can expect things to change and go up and down. But let's go back to base, and I want to see. So they didn't have any end zone targets because they didn't have any opportunities to throw into the red zone. They had Genty run that first touchdown in. But out of curiosity, on the season, the end zone targets have been Bowers, Myers, which is obviously gone, Trey Tucker, Thornton, Co. So going back to the first touchdowns here, I'm actually very interested in Trey Tucker. Thornton is pretty good price, honestly. But what was Lockett? Let's look at these pricings again for the Raiders. We'll bet one on each side. Thornton 35 to 1. Do you want to look at what like FanDuel is at for this as well and see what the pricing is? FanDuel. So Calstra's 49 to 1. DK 35, Novik 34, Profit 34, and FanDuel 33. So Lockett's eating into some of his share here, but I think Thornton is interesting at 35 to 1. I do want to again talk about how like Dallas is the wide receivers killing Dallas have been like the WR1s. It has been the best players getting to Dallas. Lockett at 25 to 1, FanDuel best price. Kalshi 24, DK 22. All right, and let's look at his target share. again one more time. So in that game against Denver, he had 44 receiving yards. But again, Denver does funnel a lot of stuff to the slot because, well, I mean, Surtain was out in that one, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Mini buy, of course, as well. Bowers is going to feast, as we know, but I'm actually going to continue rocking with Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker has been my GOAT for today. We have him for bigger receiving yards. Checking FanDuel and DraftKings again one more time. 15-1 at FanDuel or DraftKings. So pick your poison, but I'm going with Trey Tucker, first touchdown for my Las Vegas Raider here. Then we'll look at Dallas. I mean, Dallas is kind of the usual suspects. My thoughts are going to be start with honestly on Pickens, just because of the pricing. We'll look at some of the Dallas stuff against tight ends. I mean, the Vegas stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at some Dallas players again. So Javonte Williams, no, it's just not like the pricing, no. Dak 35, no. Fergie 10-1 is intriguing, but let's go back to FTN quickly and let's look at since Lamb's return, what it's kind of been like for Dallas. We actually do this right here on Outlier. Let's pull up Pickens and let's do games with CD Lamb. So in games with Lamb this year, still having big receiving yard totals. Now I know his receptions go down because he just makes so many plays. This filter working now? Games with player CD Lamb. Yeah. So again, not like a high funnel here, though. The yards have been getting pretty nice with Lamb. I'll get the filter back. Able to still have some big yardage games for Pickens, and let's see the touchdown department in games with Lamb. Only 2 touchdowns. Okay. Raiders against wide receivers, averaging 1.1 a game, 22nd in football, in total 2.8 touchdowns per game. Red zone targets. Ferguson's been dominating. Lamb, even with missing some time, I would think this number would be higher, though they do a lot of running with Javonte in the red zone because they've been having a ton of success overall in that department. Ferguson with 14. Lamb Williams. Look at some of the tight ends against Las Vegas. Only 0.2 touchdowns allowed, 4th in football. Let's see some of the tight ends who have scored. So against Denver, none. David Martin Robinson against Tennessee. So that's obviously pulling one out of the woodwork for the Titans who got that there. So Kelsey didn't get in. No really like tight end ones that I'm seeing that they really held in check necessarily by any means. So this is definitely interesting because he's getting a lot of the target share. So that's always worth looking at here. I mean, pulling up overall right now, like TEs against David Martin Robinson, but the other tight ends. So Vegas has been pretty good against tight ends this year, all in all. So let's go back here and forget. So at 10-1, maybe I'm not as in love with it as I thought. But going down the board, like Jonathan Mingo, going down the board with Dallas, though, it's not something that I love doing. They're so tight knit going back here. It's like red zone targets. It's going to one of the 4 guys with Lamb, getting him in the mix, expected a bit more. Red zone rush attempts, it's going to Javonte Williams. Overall targets, it's funneling to one of their 3, now 4 guys realistically. So you can, of course, find those situations where there's going to be a cowboy that scores a first that's unexpected, like a Hunter Lipke, Turpin doesn't have one in the last 10. Ryan Flanoy doesn't have one either. Pickens at 9-1. Let me just confirm this. Let's see, because FanDuel's at 750. Seeing some movement now in real time for everything, but Pickens down to 850 at DK, and over on FanDuel down to 750. So honestly, 9-1 was like my cutoff point. If he ends up scoring a touchdown, what are you going to do? Or the first touchdown, it's all in the game. but at the price, I'm not as interested in it as I would have liked to be for Pickens. You've seen 9 to 1 at Novig. Let's see if that's available still, because that could just be the answer to our problems. If there's good enough liquidity here on Novig, then could just be a bet and forget. 9 to 1, only $157. So I would feel free to take that liquidity if you're interested on Novig. 157.50 at 9 to 1. Not going to call it a play just because of the smaller amount of liquidity there, but I wouldn't doubt, and I wouldn't fault anybody for taking that liquidity. I would actually honestly support it at that price. I think it's a good first touchdown bet to make. Yeah, no, I'm in no, because Pickens has not scored a first this year. That doesn't really matter whatsoever. Of course, Javonte is going to be the probable usual suspect here, but I'm locking in Pickens. I'll bet the 850 just because at this point I've been talking about it so much. If he doesn't score that first touchdown, I'm going to be a little bit annoyed. But it's going to be Javonte Williams running it in from 2 yards out, and it's going to not really matter whatsoever. But Pickens at 850. Boom. George Pickens plus 850. Bet the 900 at Novig if you want to tail. That's definitely the way to go about it. All right, beautiful. Very nice, very nice. So bets we played so far, we have a straight bet of Trey Tucker over 43.5 receiving yards. I bet Ashton Genty 2+ touchdowns. A straight bet of Trey Tucker first touchdown. Straight bet of Pickens first touchdown, and also a nuke on FanDuel. Genty 2 touchdowns. Trey Tucker 60+ receiving yards. Dallas defense anytime touchdown scorer. So let's go back to the EV screen, see what we could find. We have a DK boost to cook up, so we'll utilize that. It has to be a 4-legger, so not ideal that we have to be confined to betting a 4-leg lay for this to make sense, but we do what we got to do. Load up props here. Filter that I have on Outlier, of course. This DAC is still showing. This Turpin's still showing. Genty receptions under. Ferguson receptions over. This is showing at a couple of shops. Let's look at this one because we're honed in on DK. This is good. This is like 2.6%. I'm adding this right now to the slip on DK. So we're going with Jake Ferguson over 4.5 receptions, minus 104. Receptions OU, Jake Ferguson, 4.5, minus 104. So that's 1 leg right there. And this is honestly worth playing straight as well. 2.67% expected value. Looks like it's market's slow to move here. We saw that against TEs, they've been pretty solid with receptions allowed a game, but I don't think they've really faced a tight end that's getting funneled the football as much as Ferguson is, as we see this EV there as well. Trey Tucker touchdown is showing EV as well with 234. It's just a penny 198. So I'm not honestly in love with that. What's the odds at FanDuel? 220, 230. So it's decent. 220 now. It's the same price as FanDuel. So I wouldn't bet the Trey Tucker anytime. But seeing some Pickens over receiving yards as well. Let's do some manual build out here. Let's pick a player. Pickens receptions showing EV 127, 131 at FanDuel. Now we got 4.5 receptions for Fergie already. So could just be a little bit of a addition here, adding some Pickens. Lamb 6.5 receptions also. Is this showing EV here? I actually definitely like Lamb 114. FanDuel at 126. I'm adding this Lamb. We're taking a lot of the Dallas passing game, so some of this correlation should be a good thing here for our odds. Staying in the same market, Lamb 6.5. We want 114. Correct, 114. So adding that in, that's just plus 232. Now, again, from receiving prop perspective, I am still thinking it's kind of Trey Tucker or bust. Let's see some Bowers. We haven't looked at anything Bowers related. Sure, he'll show up here any second. There he is. Anytime 122. So that's just going to be a no-go, even though obviously Brock Bowers is a freaking dog and we expect him to get the ball as much as possible. But gonna lay off Bowers so far in this for this. But let's look at some for a touchdown at least. What's his receptions? 6.5 minus 102. So same price. So now he's obviously a funnel. Like he is their best player. He's gonna get the ball all the time. They could not do it at all against Denver. And this Dallas defense could be definitely playing an inspired game, like we spoke about from all the news that we know of. It doesn't have to be sticky. And of course, Bowers missed a bunch of time here, but and played injured at times as well. But when Bowers is at full speed, we know how good this man is. Let's see here. Receptions. What are his yards again? It's an alt line. Oh, excuse me. 71.5. That's only a Profit X and Sleeper. 72 and a half at Kalshi. I mean, we can look at DK here. Gentie's anytime just went down to 135. Receiving props. Bowers said 80 plus. No way. What's his like baseline? 73 and a half. So if Geno is going to ball out, it's going to have to come from there. But we did see some EV on Geno under completions. This is SGPable. That's only plus though. Let's see if pass completions over under. This is 21 and a half. So we saw 23 and a half having EV. So 21 and a half is absolutely not going to cut it here. Missing out on 2 completions. SGP odds just dipped. So something is moving. So that means we got to lock in stat before we miss out on any value. It dropped. I mean, we can't add a Javonte anytime touchdown. 148. I mean, 150 at DK. I don't love these chalky touchdowns, but like I definitely expect him to score. Running backs, the run defense has been pretty solid for Las Vegas so far. As we can see here, rushing yards, I mean, 15th middle of the pack. Not doing anything getting the pressure department. So Dak should have all the time in the world to throw the football, but Javonte can, of course, make some catches in the passing game. But we do already like Genty. So if we do Genty and Javonte anytime, so we got the 2 running backs, and then 2 receivers, CD over receptions and Ferguson over receptions. We're just a 13-1 with the boost. I want to build that quickly on FD pre-boost and see what that looks like from my pricing perspective. So we have receptions, Lamb over, Fergie over, 784. So this is 10-1 pre-boost on DK. I locked this in. So I locked in this exact SGP, except on DraftKings with the boost. That's 13-1 with FanDuel pre-boost being 784, and DraftKings pre-boost is actually 10-1. So give me both. Give me the chalky running backs and give me Lamb and Ergie to catch some footballs. We need to see a high target funnel. I think Pickens can get some love. We have him for first touchdown, so hopefully if he gets the love, it does come early. But it's a pretty good start there. So we have a lot of stuff locked in, boys. Like I mentioned, we have that parlay, Ferguson 5+ receptions, Lamb 7+ receptions, Javonte anytime, Ashton anytime. We have Pickens first touchdown, Trey Tucker first touchdown, Trey Tucker over 43.5 receiving yards, Genty 2+ touchdowns, which again here I want to look at some of the odds again. And then we have SGP, Genty 2 touchdowns, Trey Tucker 60+ receiving yards, Dallas defense anytime touchdown plus 17,296 using the FanDuel boost. Not obviously expecting that to hit, but I think that mixture of narrative street and actually 2 plays that I do like a lot coming together. Genty still 41 on DK anytime. I mean for 2+, and Genty 490 still. So I mean I bet the 450. Already bet it. So would obviously have a negative cash out even if I tried to cash that out. But looks like I'm stuck with a crappy number here. But let's see if there's any insights on things. Dak underpassing attempts here, showing some positive expected value at Hard Rock. Last 5 of the last 6 games has not been throwing the football. Game is in Vegas, by the way, of course. But I do think Dallas does show, like, again, a lot of like heart And the Vegas offense has been abysmal. I mean, let's go back to the numbers here. Raiders on offense, 31st in scoring per game, 28th in the red zone, 15th on third down conversions, which is actually, decent, middle of the pack on converting third down, though that is definitely a pretty volatile type of thing. So don't know where that's going to change. Dallas's defense abysmal, so maybe there is some give and take there. 30th in rushing yards, 27th in passing yards, 29th in yards per play. I mean, it's the ultimate dog water offense against dog water defense. Who is going to give and how is it going to shake out? That is the $1 billion question for this Cowboys Raiders game out in Vegas. Let's see any team props here. Actually, let's. I'm curious. I haven't looked really at much at all. Like, what are the game props? Team props. Excuse me. Raiders points. Like, what's their team total? Sitting looking like at 21.5 over under plus 104, 22.5, minus 106 at FanDuel. So again, total's 48. There has been definitely some betting love toward the under there. So definitely not expecting Vegas as 3.5-point dogs to be doing more of the scoring here. And Dallas, on the other hand, their team total really like 25.5, 26.5. So, adding up to around what the total is, but looking like Dallas with more conviction to cover this 3.5 as we've seen. And I'm curious what the money line odds have moved toward. Let's look at the odds timeline here. Let's get some of these books out of here and let's start fresh. We'll add Circa. We'll add Profit. We'll add Kalshi and Novig. So just to get some things away. So Circa's at 185, dropping to 190, to 195, to 200 at Circa. So all the money line, even with the spread movement, has been coming back in Dallas's favor, dropping some of those odds. Best price is at Novik 178. So Dallas expected to win this game on the road, as we know, with the spread and the money line odds. But definitely still an interesting overall game to look at when thinking about it. And let's see. For the Raiders, again, coming off a loss to Denver, Jacksonville, KC, Tennessee, because you obviously smoked them. Barely lost to the Bears, smoked by the Commies, smoked by the Chargers, and beating New England in week 1. Actually, the 1 week I actually had Raiders money this season was that week 1 W. When you only have 2 games that you've won all year, it's always fun to be on the right side of one of them. Let's go back to the EV tab and let's do a refresh and see if anything pops up, any last minute moves. Because if they do pop up, then they're probably worth getting in on if we're quick. This Dak passing TD is still hanging out at 544 for the under, 175 at 5.44% expected value. Turpin still hanging out. Genty under 3.5 receptions. I kind of like it. Mike Meyer under receptions. Let's take a look here. I actually saw some love in the market for his overs, but this was a while ago. Like I don't remember a while ago. It was in like 2 or 3 days ago. 2.5 over, priced pretty highly. Under 3.5, 168 at FanDuel. Let's look at this now. 3 receptions in his last 2 games, and this is with Brock Bowers back and healthy. Target share pretty decent, though it is a bit inflated with Bowers missing some time there. So we did get a bit of love when Bowers was gone, as we see from like a target share perspective here. Had a game here with 7 targets against Jacksonville, even with Bowers there. 7 target game, but also with some Bowers in the mix. Bowers played this game that wasn't fully healthy, only 1 target to Mike Meyer. So I like it. I mean, if it's something that you're going to be adding to like a parlay, I mean, at 168 to the market, not like a ton of expected value, especially if you use FanDuel as a DVIG book. But let's see it, even 2.5. They got some plus chicken. This Caesars 136 is pretty solid. Let's take a look at this. Of course, this Profit 142 is the best price. We'll take a look at both. Only $35.92 on this. So the Caesars are bust here. Let's take a look at if that Caesars price is still available. 136 for Meyer alternate reception, not like alternate, like is what his reception line is at Caesar. Plus chicken, 136. I actually like this a lot. Definitely like that a lot, Wolfcotta, to go for the under at that price. I'd rather bet that plus money at 2.5 than lay the 168. If you're, parlaying and what that 168 is a leg, then no harm, no foul there. But that's what I would be locking in. That's where I would be looking. Speaking of other books, I'm curious if Caesars have any boosts for this game. MGM, let's see. Never get any promotions from these guys. The second chance touchdown, no, that's all good and fun. Let's see what Caesars has, if anything, for my state for tonight. Maybe there's another boost we can get out of. The only straight bet again that I have that's like 1 unit of risk is the Trey Tucker anytime tutty, not anytime tutty, over 43.5 receiving yards. Excuse me. I do have a Monday Night Football profit boost actually on Caesars. Max bet $5. SGP has to be. All right, this is something I want to do actually. Let's build out a bet on Caesars and see what it is. I'm actually going to keep this leg in here. How many legs? How many legs? It doesn't say how many legs. Okay, I'm going to build this out on my computer as well. But this is the first stop on the train here. Yeah, I think Bowers goes off. I mean, brother, it'd be awesome. I think Trey Tucker is actually the one who's getting a bit undervalued overall as like the WR1 realistically now. But I do think that Bowers, again, as the number one playmaker besides Genti, should absolutely be going off as well. And I don't think Dallas is like a team that's like equipped to really like shut down Bowers and like make them funnel to Mayer. I think that what's his name? That Tucker will kind of get his on his own. But so let me add this reception under Mike Mayer 136. So I'm curious what this boost is going to end up coming out to. But this is a good look here. We have Tucker yards, but I'm curious what his receptions are looking like. 134, 130 here at Caesars. I'm even seeing a price here. So do I have Caesars clicked here? I do. But looking at my screen on the other computer, seeing 3.5, 150. So 130, 134. So that's probably not worth it. But we're gonna definitely be building something out. And Caesars have been bad at pricing SGPs like Ty put us onto. So hence why I'm trying to see what we can correlate on Caesars, maybe get away with something here, honestly. From like a good pricing perspective. Bauer 6.5 Rex, 12, only 1 shutdown in that game against tight ends, only 6 allowed. But again, this is Bauer. This is something different at home. Though I do expect a like I said, a concerted effort from the Dallas defense, and this total has gone down. So the market expected there to be, for whatever it's worth, less points scored. But obviously, yards can be accumulated here. Only a 31-yard game. How many targets did he even get? Only 3 total targets. Now, here's the thing, too. Like, having a game where a guy only gets 3 total targets when it's Brock frickin' Bowers, that's got to be interesting. So now, okay, let's look at this because I want to do some price comparison and maybe we could find some value just off the rip here. I'm going to switch back to Caesars. Now, if we have Mayer under receptions and we are going to add Bowers over, right? So this is 365. Let's go and do the same thing on FanDuel and DraftKings, and let's show the difference in the pricing because those are obviously correlated, right? You have a tight end under and a tight end over, same position, same team. That doesn't seem like it's being priced in. So I know the odds aren't going to be the same because Caesars has 2.5 for receptions while there is a 3.5 here at 168. So it's not going to be the same, but I am curious. See, this is as low as plus 190. And yes, I know the odds aren't the same. There's a big difference between -1, whatever it was, minus 160 and plus 136, but still, it doesn't seem like it's being priced properly at all. Bowers, 6.5, and Mayer 136, 2.5, plus 370. Caesars at 365. Okay, so DraftKings is just as off point with this correlation as Caesars is as well. So that's worth noting. But we do have a boost. So if we were to just to boost that, that would bring us to plus 370. So the same price as DK. So it's really not anything too great as we're seeing. Okay, that was an experiment there, more so than anything, honestly. I was very curious what it was going to look like. And so far, nothing too big or noteworthy, but that was four signs from the pricing. Maybe they did patch that since Ty spoke about that on stream. I wouldn't be surprised. With that being said, that was at the 365 when I parlay that. So honestly, maybe a Caesar's boost isn't worth it. Now it's up to 370 pre-boost with the boost. Still 370. I just think I'm clicking too many buttons on Caesars to break in over here. Odds are changing in the slip. Let me take out one of the legs and put it back in. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but so I'm adding a boost on Caesars. So it says the odds are 370. I added the boost, and it's not showing the odds. All right, I think I broke Caesars. Just clicking too many buttons. But we'll see if we can find anything. Caesars, again, if they're mispricing things, that's always going to be great. But the way that they've been is like they're sticking pretty strong to market. I mean, we picked them up yesterday on a prop that they were off. We had some positive expected value. That was nice. We hit that Khalil Shakir under, but that was about it. Any other team props here? And let's see if there's any insights on Outlier worth taking a look at. And also the injury report now. Nothing I haven't seen so far. Jonathan Mingo not playing. How in the world will the Cowboys move the football without Jonathan Mingo on the field? Aiden O'Connell, doesn't matter. I mean, it might matter because who's their backup again for the Raiders? Why am I blanking? Let's do a quick Google search. AOC out. Oh, it's Pickett. Yeah, how could I forget it's Pickett? Maybe we'll see some Kenny Glove Pickett action tonight, but another EV run through here just to see if anything is worth betting. But seems like we have our card realistically. I'm not going to force this Caesars profit boost, especially when it's not updating me my odds properly. Maybe we'll do a refresh. But this DAC has been up all day at 360 at MGM. I mean, it's going to be a tough sweat under 2.5 passing touchdowns for Dak, but it's there. This Turpin we ignored. This Genti we ignored. This Trey Tucker 230 is only 1.26%. But this Geno passing yards just popped up. I don't think we saw this before. At Hard Rock 234, it says plus 105, minus 120 at Penny, Caesars, and Bovada. If you have Hard Rock, this is definitely worth betting. 6% EV, almost in a worst case, 6% in every other case. This is absolutely worth a bet on Hard Rock, plus 105 for Geno over 234.5 passing yards. It's 235 on DK. Even 239, so 245 more yards is still minus money on DraftKings. So that's absolutely worth going with that Geno to do well. And looking again, Dallas allowing the 30th most passing yards per game. But then you have Geno Smith, and this is ugly. Balled out week 1. Washington, so much garbage time after a terrible week 2 in Los Angeles. So then look at this stretch of just horrific quarterback play. Finally does well against the Jaguars, where we know how bad the Jaguars secondary is, and they still end up losing the football game. So it doesn't even matter. So funny, man. And you take Jacoby Myers out of the mix. I mean, the Raiders are obviously in a full tank situation, so not too shocked by anything that I'm seeing there. Bowers' movement, out of curiosity, looks like it's just been going up for Bowers. I mean, if he's healthy, that's all you need. The under here, 79.5. Why is this the number they're showing? It's a Kalshi, Hard Rock, FanDuel at plus money at 80 plus. We saw 73.5 at FanDuel and DraftKings, maybe 72.5. Not so sure. Let's go to DK quickly and look at some of the touchdown stuff. If anything's been moving from any time or first, Pickens still 850, Genti still 400, Lamb 750. That was, I think, 7 to 1. So that did move a bit. Tucker went to 14 to 1. We had 15 to 1. Is that FanDuel also? Let's find out because we bet it at it was available at both when we were looking. I know that for a fact. Even if we get, like plus 100 in line value on the first touchdown, I obviously don't expect that to be like, oh, this bet is finally hitting or anything like that. But it is always nice to see some value in your direction on a long shot. That's half the battle almost. There's obviously so much that still needs to go right there. Yeah, Trey Tucker down to 14 to 1. We bet 15 to 1. I'm not crazy. We did. So hopefully we made a good bet there. Part of me still wants to get greedy and bet like a Thornton also. This is at FanDuel 33 to 1. Lock at 25. Let's go back to DK quickly. Thornton 35 to 1. I mean, I don't want to overexpose on first touchdowns because we're going to watch Genti or Javante run it in regardless. But pricing wise, I am a bit interested. Lock at 22. Lock is 25. Like, I don't want to bet all three of them because that's just ridiculous. It's just like not worth it realistically. I mean, you can obviously stake it. So with these big prices that you hit one of them, you hit them all. But we're talking again about first touchdown. So obviously volatile, but Thornton 35 to 1, I think is a bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie. And maybe I'm going with the bonus here. I am. I just bet it. Thornton 35 to 1 at DraftKings first touchdown. I bet it. Who's my favorite Dallas receiver today? So it's going to be CD always. Like he just dominates the passing share. We have CD 6+ receptions in a in the DraftKings parlay that we bet. I'm rocking with CD over Pickens, even though you guys, I know Wolf Kyle, you're always on stream. I'm always rooting for Pickens as well, but the target share is just so high. And I know that looking at the numbers, like the defense has been decent overall for the Raiders, like from the passing perspective. I mean, 17th, middle of the pack. They're not getting murdered. But looking at again, some of like receivers against that's against Dallas. Let's get on over to the other side here. Lamb. Like if we're trying to see like which receiver group is the one that's like turning up against the Raiders, like they don't really have a wide receiver one in Denver, though. I guess it is Sutton, but he was held in check. We got Bo Nix throwing. Here, like BTJ is just like nothing. Rice is always going to get his at 7. And we can even go back to FTN here. Let's look at the DVOA right now, actually, and see what it is against like other receiving groups. But when you have a guy as dominant as CeeDee Lamb, I'm just it's always going to be that like default unless there really is like a good defensive coordinator matchup or matchup here. But DVOA against wide receiver ones, Dallas is worst in football, which is again why we are kind of on Tucker or in that situation, Brock Bowers. 15th in the league for Las Vegas, and they have not even played a great group of wide receiver ones. Against wide receiver twos, Vegas is 8th, so like that could be a pick and spot, though I think I'm more intrigued by the 50 to 1. I mean the 15th, even though because still looking at it for Vegas, only 3.38 receptions a game, but 52 yards. So still a yard more, though the volume is lower to wide receiver twos, which is pretty high. But then against tight ends, they've been pretty solid this year. Yeah, 20. So negative DVO against tight ends, you want negative for defense. So pretty good against Fergie, but again, they haven't played tight ends really like Fergie. So that's kind of where I'm at. Last thing I'll take a look at before we hop up. This game starting, we have more than enough locked in here, seeing some first tutties move. Thornton just went to 33 to 1. Oh, that was there, right? Something moved. I watched it. Tucker back to 15 to 1. So that's it. The Lockett dropped to 22 to 1. Let's lock it here. Already at 22 to 1. So if it's Lockett, man, and we went Thornton Tucker, I'll be a bit sad here. But I do want to always look at, for fun here, the most receiving yards in the game markets. Lamb, the obvious chalk. Bowers, the obvious number 2, 250. Pickens 320. Um, Tucker 950 is also interesting because if it does become even like a blowout and they just like, are throwing some garbage time stuff, it's going to be Tucker. We saw it again against Washington, and we got to check prices compared to DK because DK has much worse prices. But if they're, off market here big time, this could be worth it. Tucker only 7-1, so they're not off market at all. Though Lockett just popped 250. We saw that. Lockett on FD is 350, and we'll quickly check the rushing yards market and see for the most rushing yards. Obviously, going to be a battle between these two. Genty even money minus 170 for Javonte. Switching back on over here, 160, 105 for Genty. Yeah, and there. Yeah, should we take some Geno Smith here? No, we should not. 30-1. Geno Smith is only 30-1 on DK, and there, as you see, 151. Oh man, if you never needed another reminder of how bad some of this stuff is, boys. But let's rip through what we bet one more time. Deontay Thornton first touchdown. Parlay on DK with the boost. Ferguson 4.5 receptions. Javonte Williams anytime. Genty anytime. Lamb over 6.5 receptions. Pickens first touchdown. Trey Tucker first touchdown. Trey Tucker over 43.5 receiving yards. Ashton Genty 2+ touchdowns. Then a parlay donation. Ashton Genty 2+ touchdowns. Trey Tucker 60+ receiving yards. And Dallas's defense anytime tutty. So boys, best of luck for tonight's game. I'll be back on stream Wednesday with Jake, as always, to go through the entirety of the board for week 12. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Watching on X, go to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, please. It does go a very long way. I would very much appreciate getting some likes on this and some subscriptions. But appreciate you, boys. I'll see you all on Wednesday. And let's